This is a stimulus and Social Security update. Got some important update to share with you after Kevin McCarthy said that there will be no Social Security or Medicare cuts. The White House blasts Kevin McCarthy, saying he is not telling the truth. I'll give you more details on that. New $500 payments are going out this week, and Walmart is raising the minimum wage up to $14 an hour. But on a federal level, even $14 an hour is not enough for Bernie Sanders. I'll let you know what Bernie Sanders has to say, and I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a more than Monday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel for more daily, straight-to-the-point updates on matters that financially matter to you. So, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says cuts to Medicare and Social Security will be off the table in the upcoming debt limit talks. So, Speaker McCarthy said Medicare and Social Security cuts were off the table as it related to debt ceiling talks during a talk yesterday on Sunday interview on CBS, and the White House has rejected GOP-led efforts for spending cuts tied to increasing the debt limit. So even though Kevin McCarthy said, don't worry, we're not going to cut Medicare or Social Security, the White House responds, and the White House blasts McCarthy for comments on strengthening Social Security and Medicare. So after what I just mentioned, what Kevin McCarthy said, White House was not too happy about that. Basically, the White House said this: for years, congressional Republicans have advocated for slashing earned benefits using Washington code words like strengthen when their policies would privatize Medicare and Social Security, raise the retirement age, or cut benefits. House Republicans refuse to raise revenue from the wealthy, but insist they will strengthen earned benefits programs. So I'm going to be honest, when I heard strengthen, I thought that might have been a good thing, but I guess the White House is saying that the word strengthen is not a good thing when it comes to Social Security or Medicare. So when it comes to Social Security or Medicare being cut, Kevin McCarthy said it won't be cut, but the White House doesn't believe them, saying that they still think that Kevin McCarthy and the Republicans will cut it. So it's still not finalized yet. A lot of back and forth. Let me know your thoughts on all of that. New $500 payments are going out to Americans this week. See who qualifies for a year's worth of income. So this is going on in Evanston, Illinois, offering monthly payments of $500. So this is the latest guaranteed income program in Evanston, Illinois. So yeah, just straight up $500 payments. Residents had to be ages 18 to 24 or 62 or older, and yeah, had to be below the poverty line. So $500 monthly checks there. Not seeing as many of those, as well as stimulus starting to dry up. And then Walmart increase minimum wage for all employees to $14 per hour. This is pretty big, especially since Walmart is infamously known for having low wages. So Walmart will raise the minimum wage for store employees to $14 an hour in March. Bentonville, Arkansas-based retailer's current minimum wage is $12 an hour, set in 2021, and the CEO, Doug McMillon, has said retail wages should go above $15 an hour. So yeah, this is pretty big. Big bump for Walmart employees. Is this good? Should it be higher, or do you think this is good enough for Walmart employees, since Walmart is basically everywhere? Let me know your thoughts on that. When it comes to Bernie Sanders says $14 an hour minimum wage is not going to do it. Currently, the minimum wage is $7.25, which is pretty crazy to think about. Take a look at what Bernie Sanders has to say.
It's been 13 years since the federal minimum wage in this country was increased. Since 2009, the minimum wage in America has been $7.25 an hour. The many calls to increase the federal minimum wage have gone unanswered, but some companies are stepping up and have been in the last few years. The latest one is Walmart. Starting in early March, Walmart is raising its minimum wage for store employees to $14 an hour, up from $12. That's a roughly 17% jump in wages. The company's decision will push average hourly wages to over $17.50. That means 340,000 store employees will get a raise, representing 21% of Walmart's 1.6 million employees in the United States. Remember that Walmart is the largest private employer in the country. In his note published on the company's website, the CEO, John Furner, said he's focused on investing in employees through higher wages and new opportunities to help grow their careers. Now, this news comes as the U.S. job market remains extremely tight, with an unemployment rate of 3.5% in December. Joining me now is the Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, the new chairman of the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee. He's a major proponent, always has been, of raising the federal minimum wage. He's also the author of a new book, It's Okay to Be Angry About Capitalism, which comes out next week. Senator, good to see you again. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Look, you've been making the argument, as have many people, for a legislative fix for the federal minimum wage to actually be higher than it is. For better or for worse, the tight labor market has caused this to happen among some of the country's major employees. Are you okay with the market having addressed some of the things that you were hoping to address through legislation?
Look, the reason that Walmart has raised the minimum wage is, you know what, you can't find labor in many parts of this country for 10 or 12 bucks an hour, or the wages that they have been providing. So they have done in their own self-interest that, hey, we need workers. Let's raise it to at least $14 an hour. But that is not enough. A couple of years ago, we fought to raise the minimum wage to $15 as a result of inflation. In real dollars, that should be at least $17 right now. Here's the bottom line. You got over 60% of the people in this country living paycheck to paycheck. Tens of millions are working at starvation wages. It is not too much to ask in the wealthiest country on earth, where we have massive income and wealth inequality, people on top doing phenomenally well, to say that in America, if you're working 40 hours a week, you're not living in poverty. 14 bucks an hour is not going to do it. We got to raise the minimum wage to a higher level than that, and I'll do my best to make sure that happens. Other point that I want to make, and everybody should know this, in terms of Walmart, Walmart is owned by the Walton family, the wealthiest family in America. And you got a lot of their workers who are earning wages so low, they got to go on food stamps, they got to go on Medicaid. So in other words, you have the taxpayers of this country subsidizing the wealthiest family in America because they're not paying a living wage.
Let me ask you, but I want to actually just put wages on the screen for a second. The current minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, if you work full time, would net you $15,080 a year. Your proposal, your basic minimum proposal here of $15 an hour, still gets you $31,200 a year. So for people who are offended by the idea of doubling the minimum wage, people are not running away with a whole lot of money at that point. You're still only earning $30,000 a year if you earn 15 bucks an hour.
And Ali, the price of housing has soared in recent years. You're an average worker. My God, you know, you're paying $1,500 a month to put a roof over your head and your child's head. The price of food has gone up. You got healthcare expenses and so forth. So look, the bottom line is, this is not complicated. You got an economy right now that is doing great, fantastic for the 1%. How about creating an economy that works for ordinary Americans? That means you raise the minimum wage to a living wage. What that will be, I don't know. To my mind, at least 17 bucks an hour. It's going to be a struggle, but that's the fight I want to wage.
Let me ask you about Social Security. There are concerns amongst members of the new majority in the House that the Social Security Trust Fund will not be fully funded by 2033. They've caused people to think that that means that if you are retiring at that point, you won't get your full payout. That is inaccurate. However, there is an issue with funding, with replenishing the trust fund. You have a different solution for that than the Republicans have.
Right. These guys over in the House, some of them, not all, think that the solution is at a time when so many seniors, we don't talk about this enough. You got people who are trying to make it on Social Security $15,000, $18,000 a year. You can't. So the solution is not what some Republicans want, to cut Social Security. The solution is to lift the cap on taxable income coming into the trust fund. Right now, you have an insane, really absurd situation. Person X makes $10 million a year. Person Y makes $160,000 a year. Both contribute exactly the same amount of money into the Social Security Trust Fund. If you lift that cap, as our legislation proposes, start at $250,000, you will have Social Security solvent for the next 75 years, solves the problem entirely, and raise benefits for lower income seniors. So that's the fight that we are waging. We're going to introduce that legislation this week.
Tell me what that looks like in this House. I know you're not in the House, but we have seen a House where most of the priorities right now from Kevin McCarthy's crew are investigations, except for the Social Security matter, which will lead to possibly not raising the debt ceiling, which will lead to possibly a government shutdown and increased borrowing costs. But no one's actually working on a fix for this right now. So when you say you're going to propose it, how might that actually work and become law?
We are working on a fix. Absolutely. Look, it is true that we should be concerned about the solvency of Social Security. Our legislation says that the wealthiest people in this country, you're no longer going to get a massive tax breaks in terms of Social Security trust fund, pay a fair share. We solved that problem for 75 years. And by the way, there is a lot of support among the American people for that idea and in the Senate as well. But I think, Ali, to answer your question, I think our job in the Senate is to put concrete ideas on the table that the American people will say, yeah, we should raise the minimum wage. Yeah, we should increase benefits for low-income seniors and improve the solvency of Social Security. Yes, we should take on the greed of the pharmaceutical industry and lower prescription drug costs in this country. Yes, we should deal with the crisis in childcare. I think if we do our job, people will see the contrast between serious legislating and what goes on in the House.
But that contrast, how does it manifest? In other words, does that mean for the next election, for 2024? Because there's a long distance between Bernie Sanders putting out an idea and a Republican House passing a piece of legislation. You still talk, as you and I often have talked for years, about Medicare for all, some sort of universal health care in America. It's a great idea. Lots of Americans actually support it. But there's no road to legislation right now. So is this about building a platform for 2024?
Well, Ali, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I saw a poll not so long ago among Republicans, just polled Republicans. Do you know what the major issue that Republicans were concerned about? Yep. Is the outrageously high cost of prescription drugs. Right. And my Republican colleagues understand that. Question is, do they have the guts to take on the power of the pharmaceutical industry and lower prices in this country to where they are in Canada?
But we saw the answer to that. We saw the answer to that with insulin. For whatever reason, the Republican Party decided to take the wrong position on subsidizing insulin for the millions of people who need it.
Yeah, and they did terribly, by the way. They did not do as well as expected in the last election. That's what our job is. If you have the overwhelming majority of Republicans say, let's see, pharmaceutical industry makes tens of billions of dollars in profits, and yet we pay, in some cases, 10 times more than Canadians for the same drug. That doesn't make sense. We take the case to the American people. I think we put the Republicans on the defensive. And by the way, you may have, in terms of Social Security, our old friend Donald Trump, you recall what he just said a week or two ago? He said to his Republican colleagues, don't cut Social Security and Medicare. They will listen to them. Our job is to create pressure around an agenda that works for the working class and the middle class. Be aggressive. Pass that bill in the Senate and show the contrast.
Senator, good to see you on a Sunday morning. I appreciate it.
What are your thoughts? Do you agree, disagree with Bernie Sanders? Should the federal minimum wage be raised even higher? Let me know your thoughts. What do you think a good minimum wage number would be? Let me know that number down in the comments below. And that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully cheer you up a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I just want to tell you that you should always be grateful what you have. Karma is the one that, karma, if you give things out to the world, it comes back to you. If you have a friend that is really special to you and you give them a gift and they give you back a gift. That's what karma is all about. Giving gifts. Like if you put silliness out in the world, you'll get silliness back. And it's like you should always be grateful for the holidays that have came. And also, if you have friends that you care about, you should always give gifts to them and they'll give gifts to you. Because that always happened to me and I just love it. Bye!
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of your support. Had some family come over the weekend, and hopefully you had a good weekend as well. If you want to check out any of my other videos, you could click right up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.